Good day to all! I'm Lorenzo Calosing, and for today's video, I'll discuss my experiences, insights, and takeaways through a video synthesis from my Literatures of the World or Gelitwo class. Now, let's get right into it. In our Gelitwo class, we have discussed multiple modules for the whole term. And these modules are National in the Global, Colonial Past and Post-Colonial Present, and Mind, Body, and Desire. So first up is the National in the Global module, where our objective is to investigate ideas related to national traditions and local identity and how they are portrayed in the context of globalization and world literature. It explores many national literary traditions and their global storylines. Now for this module, there are materials that caught my attention, and these are The Lottery by Shirley Jackson, The Present by Jacob Pray, and Bao by Domi Shi. We are dragged into the lives of a minor traditional town in Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, where dark customs are hidden beneath the surface. Its characters depict human impulses and the need to conform to social conventions, which are still relevant today. In addition to making us reflect on the diverse cultural practices present in many settings, the narrative serves as a sobering warning of the perils of mindlessly adhering to tradition and the severe repercussions of doing so. So the next one is The Present by Jacob Pray. This is a short film that shows the physical obstacles faced by the main character. Even if his mother decides to surprise him with a little puppy, the young boy doesn't care for the puppy at first. Then the turning point of the film is when the revelation that the young boy had a handicap and had one leg amputated. The dog is also a three-legged puppy. Now the boy accepts the dog for who he is and views him, yung dog, yung puppet, as a good thing. Or yung siya mismo as a good thing. And then lastly is The Bao, by Domi Shi. And it shows a touching story of an elderly Chinese-Canadian mother who longs for a purpose after her children have grown up and moved away. However, her life takes an unexpected turn when a steam band she makes comes to life and becomes a sentient entity, allowing her to enjoy motherhood once more. So for the takeaways for these modules is, let's begin first with The Lottery. So The Lottery challenges us to consider our inner desires and the social norms that force us to adhere to accepted practices. It serves as a potent wake-up call, alerting us to the dangers of blindly adhering to tradition without considering the ethical implication. The story challenges us to examine our cultural traditions more closely and evaluate their applicability and moral consequences in the contemporary world through its frightening plot. And the second takeaway is from the film The Present. So, in the film The Present, we follow a protagonist who overcomes physical obstacles and finds an unexpected friendship with a three-legged puppy on a journey of resiliency and connection. The film highlights the value of empathy and acceptance, urging us to accept others without passing judgment and to appreciate the distinctive characteristics that make each of us unique. And lastly, for the Bao, we are captivated by the heartwarming story of an elderly lady who finds solace and purpose in an unexpected connection with a sentiment steam bond. The film highlights the enduring power of the human spirit and the significant influence of meaningful connection. It is a reminder that contentment and pleasure frequently emerge from unexpected places, emphasizing the value of sincere connections and the beauty of life's unexpected turns. When we look at literature, the colonial era affected literature as authors dealt with issues of colonization, identity, power struggles, and cultural misunderstandings. On the other hand, the post-colonial present examines the experiences of historically colonized people, their fight for independence, the difficulties associated with cultural hybridity, and the legacy of colonialism on politics, society, and personal life. So for the module Colonial Past and Post-Colonial Present, it concentrates on the stories and experiences of colonial nations and the lives and stories that have emerged despite as a result of these experiences. These stories ultimately inspire a group journey toward justice and peace by forcing us readers to face hard facts about the legacy of power and to take responsibility for brutal historical acts. Now, there are materials that also caught my attention for this module. And these are I'm Black Not Poor, it's a comedy skit, telephone conversation by Wall Soyinka, and post-colonial literary theory. Let's dive to them one by one. So for the first one is I'm Black Not Poor. In this video, Raphael's character expresses frustration at being assumed to be poor solely due to their race, illustrating a shared experience of prejudice and stereotyping faced by marginalized communities, particularly in situations where gentrification is prevalent. And Raphael, yung character ni Raphael sa video, he uses a having 401,000 na pera siguro yan, no? As evidence of their stability in terms of money and expresses his frustrations with peers' misperceptions of them. And it can lead us to the question of one person or a worker being assessed based only on their physical attributes, which can bring to the awareness that occasionally we assume something about someone's financial situation based on how they look, where they work, or even where they live. Kaya yung mga factors no napapasok, mga questions na iisipin natin no kapag yan yung topic ang pinag-uusapan. And the next one is yung telephone conversation, and it appears to be subjected to discrimination by the landlady who makes offensive remarks about his skin tone. Our attention was drawn to the disparity in racial identity between perception and reality. So marami pa rin sa atin or still endure unjust treatment just due to their race or ethnicity, despite all of our progress toward equality. Furthermore, difficulties with power and control in society are evident, and as a result of her job, yung landlady dun sa story, the landlady has the authority to restrict and discriminate against yung speaker, yung lalaki. And the study of post-colonial literary theory explores how the lasting effects of colonialism continue to influence identities and narratives, shedding light on the enormous influence of colonialism on culture and literature. It explores the complex relationships between representation and power, looking at how colonial power shaped the literature of colonized countries and how people in the societies dealt with and communicated their experiences of colonialism. So by using this perspective, we can see how minority voices following colonial dominance reclaimed their narratives and asserted their presence, demonstrating their agency, tenacity, and imagination. So for my takeaways for this module, colonialism's after effects can be seen in literature as writers struggle with how colonization profoundly affected issues like identity, power dynamics, and cross-cultural conflicts. The complex thread of identity and representation that penetrates post-colonial narratives and shapes a variety of experiences and voices that emerge in its aftermath was woven together during this chaotic age. And my next takeaway is the stories in this module encourage group reflection and motivate us to think and take action toward peace and justice. So we, as readers, are forced to accept historical injustices and take up the responsibility of promoting a more just and peaceful future by heroically facing the lasting effects of colonialism. And lastly, we readers are motivated to develop empathy and broaden our comprehension of the challenges encountered by marginalized people by immersing ourselves in these resources. So, these stories pushes us to examine familiar themes like bias, discrimination, and systemic injustices with thoughtfulness, making us confront our prejudices and fight for a more equitable and inclusive society. And so for our last module, I believe for this term, which is the mind, body, and desire, parang pag una mong nakita ang mga salita na yan, parang interconnected no sa mga buhay natin. But how are we gonna tackle this into the perspective of literature, no? So every module, yung prof namin, our prof, is making a group work, but for this module alone, he makes it individual. And it makes sense to me why. So again, the module Mind, Body, and Desire explores the nuances of relationships, identity, and the human experience. It examines how our minds function, taking into account how our emotions, ideas, and beliefs affect our actions. And for this module, there are materials that are required to read and watch. But my favorites are The Last 5 Years, Dear Evan Hansen, and The Vagina Monologue. So, the musical The Last 5 Years, written and directed by Jason Robert Brown, takes us on an emotional journey through the highs and lows of romantic relationships. We see the complexity of love, the difficulties of maintaining a relationship, and the sorrow of being separated through the perspectives of Jamie and Kathy. A couple who have been together for 5 years. The most exciting thing about this narrative is how Katie tells her journey in reverse while Jamie reveals his chronological journey. It's a clever twist that gives their story more complexity and makes us wonder about the complexities of their relationship. Eve Ensler produced the Vagina Monologue, so it's a theoretical piece in which women take the stage to tell their stories. They examine the various facets of gender, sexuality, and the challenges and victories of being a woman via dramatic monologues. These women courageously share their stories, which range from battling with body image and desires to navigating menstruation, childbirth, and the horror of sexual violence. The play provides a forum for female empowerment by highlighting the tenacity and bravery of women in the face of societal obstacles. And the narrative of Dear Evan Hansen centers on Evan Hansen, a youngster who struggles with social anxiety. Evan struggles with loneliness and mental health issues after falling victim to a minor deception that immerses him in the lives of a family mourning the death of their kid. Through this journey, the musical illuminates the value of interpersonal relationships and the significant influence that even the tiniest acts of compassion and understanding can have on a person's life. And my takeaways for these modules are, unahin muna natin yung Vagina Monologue. This one is offering a courageous platform for women to take the stage and discuss their struggles and journeys bravely. These brave women fearlessly address issues of gender, sexuality, and social pressure with sincere honesty and vulnerability. They support change and raise other spirits by using theatrical monologues to share their stories, raise awareness of pressing issues, and empower themselves. In Der Evan Hansen, we are pulled into the intensely private battles of a young guy experiencing loneliness and social anxiety. It serves us as a reminder of the transforming power of human connection. It demonstrates the significant positive effects that even the smallest acts of compassion and understanding can have on someone's quality of life. Also, showing empathy and kindness to others is essential, giving them a sense of community and support during their most difficult times. And lastly is The Last 5 Years. That musical has given me an insightful understanding of the dynamics in my family, social group, and romantic connections that will happen in the future. So communication is vital to building good, satisfying relationships. Being honest and upfront is crucial to this process, and the musical also acts as a reminder to treasure the time we spend with our loved ones and enjoy the journey despite its difficulties. So not only we've discussed and made outputs for the said modules, but we've also done class lectures, both synchronous and asynchronous sessions with the activities, reading and the viewing of materials, and also gain insights and learnings doing these activities, and here's some of them. Now for the class lectures, both synchronous and asynchronous, my takeaways are always be on time. Even if the Zoom class will not start exactly at the said class hours, our prof just surprise us entering the class. So always listen and be prepared in class even if it's online. So let's not underestimate the full online setup even if the school right now sets up hybrid and full face-to-face classes. And also our prof requires everyone to recite, and even if your answer is not right, as long as your stance has sense enough, our prof will take it. And the next takeaway is submit requirements on time. Activities are done most of the time during synchronous class, and the deadlines are always during class hours, and the activities are done by group, and only a few are done individually. So communication is key, especially during group works. So always update your other members and know their agendas as well. Hindi talaga maiiwasan sa isang group ang mga freeloaders. So we need a lot of patience and adjustment. Yan ang kailangan natin talaga pag may mga group work. And lastly, attendance is a must. So don't underestimate this aspect of the whole class because it might take you not to pass this subject and fail. Also, taking notes is also a good thing because there are topics like elements of fiction, which I'll talk about in a bit, that needs to familiarize terms that will be helpful for future outputs. And as I told a while ago, no, yung elements of fiction, so my takeaways for the topic is our connection with tales is enhanced when we comprehend and investigate components including story, character, setting, conflict, theme, and point of view. This allows both writers and readers to peel back the layers of narratives and determine their meaning and impact. Also, studying the components of fiction can help aspiring authors like my other friends, and by sharing this lesson to them can help create compelling and meaningful stories by providing them with ideas and direction. And lastly is gaining an understanding of how to evaluate and analyze literary aspects that reveals hidden meanings, recognizes themes and recurring themes, and investigates thematic implications, all of which contribute to a greater enjoyment of literature and the development of analytical abilities. So there's one more thing that we've discussed is the hero's journey. So my takeaways for this topic in the hero's journey is as readers can notice recurring roles and dynamics in stories by recognizing archetypal figures, and this can provide insights into human psychology and behavior. And knowing how the hero experiences hardships, overcomes barriers, and ultimately changes over the journey might encourage resilience and personal development in overcoming one's own difficulties. And lastly is understanding the stages of the hero's journey, like answering the call to adventure, the ordeal, etc. That demonstrates how common experiences and difficulties that people from various backgrounds and eras have encountered are reflected in storytelling. So not only we are limited to the assigned outputs in modules and asynchronous activities, but Sir gave us optional activities to do, which is to watch or attend events. For me, I did some of the optional activities, and one of them was watching MMFF films. And one of these is the movie Rewind. So right now, I'm not in a romantic relationship, but the movie Rewind really connected with me and gave me some much needed perspective on life. It caused me to stop and think, providing insightful commentary and helpful reminders of the value of savoring the present. I learned a valuable lesson from the movie. There is no way to go back in time. In the rush of daily life, it's all too easy to forget the small pleasures in life. Yet we may choose to cherish them now or lose them forever. So since time is valuable resource, it is imperative to take advantage of the chances it offers. So our journey is shaped by every choice we make. Therefore, it's imperative to approach life with consideration and discernment. So studying this course, Gelitwo or Literatures of the World, gave me the chance to appreciate literature. I'm the type of person that has no interest in reading and learning literature extensively, but I believe that somehow it shaped my development as a student, and it can have a huge contribution to myself and my contribution to society even beyond my academic life. Here's some of the reasons. So, reading and studying literature improves our ability to communicate both orally and in writing. We get the ability to communicate our thoughts, ideas, and feelings in a way that is relatable to others by learning how to do so in a clear and convincing manner. This is a useful ability not just for our personal connections, but also for our profession and community advocacy of topics we support. Reading literature from throughout the world provides access to a wide range of cultures, perspectives, and life narratives. Our understanding of the richness of human diversity will grow as a result of this journey of discovery, which fosters empathy and compassion. Embracing these varied viewpoints makes you more adept at navigating the complexity of multicultural environments, which promotes inclusivity and a sense of social belonging. And engaging with the world literature can provide knowledge and insights that extend beyond the classroom setting. They spark my interest and ignite my drive for intellectual study, creating a lifelong enthusiasm for exploration. I will set off a lifelong path of personal development and self-discovery as I embrace literature and a variety of cultural expressions. Every literary experience will deepen my comprehension of the world and my place in it, leading me down a path of personal development. So as I conclude my video synthesis, I am reminded of the significant influence of the Gelitwo course has had on my comprehension of literature and its applicability to both my life and society at large as I think back on my experience with it. Interacting with various stories and delving into complex subjects has provided me with priceless insights and viewpoints that transcend the boundaries of academics. My experience has taught me the value of expression and communication. I've gained effective writing and vocal expression skills for my thoughts and feelings thanks to literature. This ability improves not only my connections with others, but also my ability to speak out for causes and participate actively in society. And that's it for today's video. This is Lorenzo Calosing, signing off.